beautifully done there. Hello. It's a pleasure to be standing here in front of you, oozing charisma like a wet cheese and onion sandwich. It's been a long while since I've done any stand-up, so I've had to sort of dust off that box in the back of my head, and I've cleared the cobwebs out, but the contents still smell uncomfortably musty. They're like an aging relative who's mysteriously still alive and rustles in the wind. Some of you may have seen my stand-up before. If so, I hope you've recovered. But I usually tended to go for slightly offbeat, surreal kind of material. And occasionally I've taken advantage of my ethnicity to address culturally sensitive matters. Or things that in trade we say, stuff that white people can't say. But by and large, I've stuck with the offbeat kind of stuff. Because it's quite fitting somebody who doesn't get out of his head very much. It's not that on principle I have any objection to the here's a genuine true story kind of material. But the thing is that fuck all happens in my life. In fact, I really hope that, in the moments before my death, I will accidentally get to see someone else's life flash before my eyes. The reason I bring this up is that actually a little while ago, something did happen in my life that gave me some material for this routine. So gather around, and I'm going to tell you a tale of minor umbrage, mild amusement, a touch of odieux, and a generous dash of what the fuck. So here's what happened. A couple of months ago, I wasn't feeling very well at work. That is so kind. That is so kind. So I wasn't feeling very well at work. Nobody else joined in this. And so I decided to go home slightly early, and I walked down to the cycle park. I work at Addenbrooke's Hospital. It's minor context, it may come in helpful later. So I walked down to the cycle park, and I found that somebody had locked my bike to theirs. Right? Now, this has probably happened to some of you in the room before. It's extremely inconvenient, and there's nothing you can do about it short of breaking the lock, which seemed like a very un-British thing to do, because it feels like, what if somebody were to steal their bike? And I'm not sure I could live with that on my conscience. So you respond in a very British way by writing a stern letter, a stern yet polite letter, slip it onto their bike and say, you've locked your bike to mine, I've been terribly inconvenienced by this, could you please give me a call when you get this note so I can come back and retrieve my bike? And the appropriate response is somebody sends you an extremely embarrassed and profusely apologetic text saying that I'm really sorry I did that, and you know that it's too embarrassing for them to call you back, and it's fine. On this occasion, I couldn't let it pass at that. Because let me paint you a picture. Here's what had happened. We have one of those bars that you lock your bike to. Here is my bike, and I've threaded my chain through the frame, through the back wheel, onto the bar. I skipped the front wheel because I'm thinking it's a hospital. It's very unlikely that my front wheel will get nicked. This is one of those baseless beliefs like justice, wealth equality, American law enforcement character that we cling on to, because otherwise we'd be driven insane by the sheer cruel and unpredictable nature of the universe, which is indeed the way the universe is, as Jesus said to the nuns many years ago. So, I had my bike locked like that, and somebody else had locked their bike to mine. Now here's the thing, here's my bike, here's the bar, here's their bike. It's at a certain distance from the bar where you have to consider that the proximity is purely by chance. They did not really intend to lock their bike to this bar, which is revealed as confirmed when you see that their chain goes from their bike right to my bike, keeping a steady distance from the bar all throughout. And you are certain now that this has not been missed by accident. Right? There is a good 1 foot at one point between the bar and their chain. So they've essentially used my bike as a parking device. Okay. Now this requires a slightly sterner letter than is normal. So I wrote a very angry letter. And I tucked it in the handlebars of her bike. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I just revealed my inherent sexism there. I saw a lady's bike and I assumed it's a lady. Okay? That's not on in this day and age. But anyway, I tucked the letter there, and just as I was about to call a cab, I thought, hang on. The kind of person who shows such blatant disregard for parking etiquette and spatial geometry is that the kind of person I would trust to send me an apologetic text and say that they had unlocked their bike? I didn't think so. So I locked my bike to theirs. Now, I'm playing it wild here. I've taken the chain out of the back wheel, just around the frame, through the bar, through their bike. Okay? I'm throwing my luck to fate here that neither the front wheel nor the back wheel is going to get nicked because it's a hospital. You're already certain this is a baseless belief. But I've locked my bike to theirs, and then I've amended my note to say, I'm very angry, I have locked your bike to mine. Please give me a call when you get this message so that I can come and release it and we can both take our bikes back. And that done, I went back home. And my wife was back early from work and she listened to the story and said, I really think your letter was really rude. I just hope that they don't get angry and slash your tires or something. And that got me thinking. And 3 hours later, I went back to the hospital and changed the letter. I toned it down, still leaving that I'd locked my bike to yours, because that was essential. And then I waited. And about a couple of hours later, I got a call. And I picked it up, and the person said, hello, this is Dr. XX. Now, XX is not their real name, it's a chromosomally compatible placeholder. This is Dr. XX. You've locked your bike to mine. Can you please come and release it? Okay. Now, 2 things there. First, this is Dr. XX. Now, I'm a doctor. Okay, a medical doctor. I rarely pick up the phone and say, this is Dr. So-and-so, even when I'm in clinic, because it's a clear mark of pulling rank. And so I said, this is Dr. Ziauddin. And since you've played the doctor card, I know you don't have a professor card. Second thing, she said, you've locked your bike to mine, can you please come and release it? Now, it's very hard to know what people are thinking, right? I have a 7-week-old at home who spends all her time feeding and sleeping and pooping. And my wife wonders, is our baby thinking, life is a melon and I want my money back? Okay. Late 90s reference there for the few people who got it. It's not material. But I wondered, what was this person thinking? That I had locked my bike to her bike, then left an angry note, explaining that I had locked my bike to her bike, and could she give me a call so that we could have this confrontation? Okay. A minute ago I said my life was unspeakably dull. Even by my standards, that's pushing it. And I said, well, I locked my bike to yours because your bike was locked to mine and I couldn't come home. And she said, well, it's not. You can come and see, your bike is not locked to mine. And I thought, okay. And that's a little tricky because obviously I've left the playground entirely to her. She can do what she wants. I have to go there and say the words. And so I went back and I found, indeed, my bike was no longer locked to hers. Instead, suspiciously, well, it was actually locked to hers, but this time it was my chain, not hers. And her chain was very appropriately round the bar. And she said, well, you can see. You've locked your bike to mine. said, well, and you learn, you spend all your life being a paranoid bastard. Of life is, well, paranoia is a way of life, it's not a state of mind. And I pulled out my iPhone and showed her a series of photographs. Taken from different angles. Just to demonstrate, incontrovertibly, that her bike had been locked in. Okay, now, that was the kind of moment where I dropped my iPhone and walked to the side. You know, sort of dropping the mic and boom, kind of thing. In reality, the iPhone just slipped out of my hands. Which is good, because it's kind of awkward when you do that and just walk out of the conversation, because you do have to come back into the conversation. Now, she said, well, if that's the case, it must have been so. And I nearly said, you are fucking kidding. I have photographic proof of your duplicity. You have said it must have been so. But here's the problem. Dr. XX and Dr. Z unfortunately happen to be doctors at the same hospital. Now, while I could say, it's on you, motherfucker, that's going to be very awkward at hospital meetings afterwards. The end of the story is actually remarkably damp. And remarkably British. She said, well, it must have been so. If that's the case, I'm sorry. And I said, well, it's all right. It was a mistake. I don't want to make too much of a fuss about it. At which point she said, well, let me at least pay for your cab back home. And that's exactly what I found. Oh, should I take it? Because if I take it, then it feels like some amends have been made. You know? I will have to leave without the one thing that I had left on the counter. Seething indignation. And so I said no. It's all right. And I unlocked my bike and let her go her way. As I said, it's kind of a damp end. Everything I want you to take away from that story is a true appreciation of how dull the rest of my life is.